On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a win in the home opener, and Jason Kidd played everybody.
Miles Brown, big game. Let's go.
And did Jason Kidd subtweet me at the end of his presser? We'll talk about it on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome to your Locked On to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com. The home opener, Oliphant, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Mavs win, baby. First win at home this season. So big time. I mean, with a team like Houston comes into town, Jalen Green, fun young team, Steven Silas. It's like, all right, cool. You're cute. You're fun. But no, you can't play around with this. You got to win games like this against bad teams. And they got a little cute with it. And I got scared. But they pulled away and they won.
And now
the vibes are immaculate.
Mavericks get the win 116-106. We will break that all down. We'll talk about the lineups. There's so many different things. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you'll see Jason Kidd's presser or some of it. The parts that we thought were interesting, we'll show you them a little bit later. So yeah, let's get into it. The first thing we have to start with is lineups and players that played. And I was ready to get on this podcast and say I applaud Jason Kidd for trying new things, because if you guys have listened to the show, or if you've been paying attention to the Mavericks, Reggie Bullock hadn't been getting a lot of playing time. And so I asked the question to Jason Kidd about, why isn't Reggie Bullock getting more playing time? And he was like, it's early, but this is what we're doing right now, basically. And I was interested to see if he was just going to get set in his ways. If he was just like, all right, I know what the best lineup is, and I'm just going to roll it out there. Instead, he comes out tonight, and going into tonight, the Mavericks had played 24 total 5-man units. That's any time that a combination of 5 different players had been on the court at one time. He played 24 going into tonight. They played 13 new lineups, brand new lineups we hadn't seen through the first 2 games. And I think total, it was like a lot more, 20 something new total lineups that we saw in tonight's game. It was absolutely insane. All 15 players played, and that was by design.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're one of the if you're a rotation person and you're watching these games, especially early on, trying to track rotations and when players come out, who's coming in, and Brunson and Willie together as the first 2 guys. If you're wanting to ask the head coach why a certain player isn't playing over 15 to 17 minutes a game, and
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
Reggie, also, we need to clear this up. Reggie is not playing very much. He's just not playing as much as what we thought he would play.
Right.
It's not like he's playing 3 minutes a game. He's still playing 15, 17 minutes, but we all thought he'd play more, and he should play more.
Correct.
But yeah, it was by design. And I think that's, one of there's a couple different storylines coming out of, this win against the Rockets. And one of them is this leadership council that Jason Kidd, referenced, and this 3-man council that Tim McMahon is now, reported on, who's part of that 3-man thing, and that he sat down with them and they recommended all 15 players playing tonight.
Honestly, Tim McMahon ruined it for us. He ruined it for everybody. And apparently it had been reported on before on Mark Followell's podcast. But the Leadership Council, we'll get into that. We'll talk about it. But Jason Kidd met with this Leadership Council, who now we know is Luka, Kristaps Porzingis, and Tim Hardaway. Met with them earlier in the day on Tuesday and said, all right, I have an idea. All 15 players play in the game tonight. Everybody's all Mavs
Is this how
players.
KP's getting post-ups too?
All players past and present. It was apparently why Dwight is starting also, but all players past and present, their names are listed on the court. If you haven't seen the Mavs court yet, the exterior, the outer line of the Mavs court is blue, and then it's all the names in this light blue and white. Every single player from Dirk all the way down to Rondo, and they're all listed on there. Tony Romo as well. His name is listed on there. But Jason Kidd said, everybody's name was on there, and I wanted everybody to touch the floor and be part of this home win. So he played all 15 guys.
All 15. I don't know how I feel about it. I think, I leaned over to you, I think in the second half, we were both at the game tonight, and I just said, like, Jason Kidd can't lose this game. Like, you can't lose this game. It's not just because it's the Rockets and it's home opener, but you can't lose this game against the Rockets in your home opener when you're playing 15 players, whenever, like, there's no lineup, like, structure out there. Like
none.
Like you said,
There was
13 different combinations, and you play the Boban. We love Boban, but like the Boban, gimmick type, thing was played in the first half, and it didn't.
I thought
really,
the first half Boban minutes were actually good, though. I don't know. If
I don't think they were.
Oh, see, offensively they did well, and that's where they were struggling.
But like, I mean, there's still like a negative, in those minutes. It's so like I love Boban, and when you throw him out there, he's like the knuckleballer. But a lot of times it doesn't really work out as much. Even though you get some Boban post ups, you're giving away points on the other end. It's throwing offense off, and
man, he ate Sangoon's lunch though a couple times on rebounds and on shots. But yeah, overall he gives up a lot on the other end, which is why Boban isn't like a starting center in the NBA.
No.
But
it's just and that's what it's just like. When I get it for the team chemistry thing, but I did get worried whenever Frank Ntilikina and Moses Brown's playing, and it's a 5-point game in the fourth quarter, late in the third. It's not like it was a 25-point lead. It's single digits, 5-6 points. So I think it worked. It obviously worked out. It was great. Home opener. All the fans got to see the players play. Confidence, the morale, the chemistry. Great call on that end. But if they end up losing that game, that's a lot of criticism because you just wanted to get everybody involved for team chemistry.
Yeah, what would we be saying today if they had lost that game? If Eric Gordon ends up going off for 30 instead of, what did he finish with, 22 or something like that?
He was great.
He was going nuts. He was doing his Mavs trade deadline audition for sure.
Any good team out there audition, he's like, hey, I'm still okay.
I'm still here. But yeah, so we would be saying, oh, this gimmick by Jason Kidd, what is he doing? Empowering the players too far. See, this is when empowering players goes a little bit too far. When Jason Kidd allows guys to, do all this stuff. I think that's what we'd be saying if the Mavs lost. They won this game. The Mavericks pulled through.
I don't think it comes out. I don't think we know it. If
yeah, probably true. He'd probably just take it on himself and say,
yeah.
I don't know. That would be interesting though if they lost and he like blamed it on the leadership council. We'd be having a whole other conversation if that happened. But there's a bunch of reasons why the Mavericks won this game, and so we want to get into that. But I think the big story, other than maybe KP being out for,
KP is the other bigger story
in the third quarter. He went out with back tightness and was out for the rest of the game. But the big story was everybody playing and the lineups and experimentation and trying new things. We saw the lineup that, at least a lineup we wanted to see, with Luka, Hardaway, Dorian, and Reggie Bullock. And then Dwight Powell was the fifth one out there. We saw finally that lineup get played out there. We saw Moses and Frank Ntilikina. Like we saw everybody out there and trying new things. So I just found that all very interesting. I thought that was the main takeaway from the game, is just trying new things and just the experimentation of it. Does anything stand out as long as we're talking about lineups, we'll talk about KP in the next segment. Did anything stand out that was good, that you saw a combination where you're like, oh, I kind of like that?
I mean, honestly, this is one of those games you're gonna have to legitimately go back and watch. Like, there were so many combinations and so many two-man groups, different pairings out there. Oh, I haven't seen these two guys play together in a bit. Like, okay, Moses out there with Luka, cool. Let's see what pick and roll looks like with that. Yeah. But there, and there were different times subs happened. I'm like, oh, this lineup's fun. There was a time they took, KP was out of the game at that point. Dwight was the lone big in the game, and they took Dwight out and put JB in. I was like, ooh, this will be fun to see Brunson and Luka and whether they spread out or no, Dwight was still in there. They subbed KP out for Brunson.
Yeah.
So then it was Dwight in there. Then they spread it out. Luka went to the post, and I just feel like this game had everything in it. It's hard to take away anything from it because we got the Boban gimmick stuff. We got Frank Ntilikina, drive, like ISO drive score. We had a Moses Brown dunk. We had Reggie Bullock going off, which we'll talk about. We had JB playing well. Like Tim, hit a few threes there in the beginning. And like this game, we had 1 million Luka shots. Luka shot it 25 times in this game. Like it had everything in it outside of like KP, going off or something. But it was wild. It's hard to really find a big takeaway out of it, of like rotation or lineups or anything.
Yeah, that's why the takeaway is just like experimentation. They just tried stuff. The starting lineup was a -11 net rating. If we want to bring that lineup actually played 15 minutes because they played the beginning of the game and then they played at the beginning of the third quarter. And then the other lineup that played the most was that lineup in the fourth quarter, which was Luka, Brunson, so the two ball handlers, Tim Hardaway, Dorian, and Powell as the one lone big man.
Yeah.
And that lineup was plus 37.5 net rating. So that lineup did really well in that fourth quarter late.
A lineup with one big in it did well.
Okay, we got to talk about Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah. Absolutely. We'll get into that in the second segment. But before we do, let me tell you about Sweat Block. Man, there are some times tonight where the Mavs were sweating out that win, and I was nervous, like we said, that Jason Kidd was even going to get this win. So we want to tell you about a product that will help you with sweat. If you struggle with profusively sweating, if you struggle with pit stains, if you struggle, there are some people that struggle, like you won't raise your hands above or your arms above your shoulders because you don't want people to see your embarrassing pit stains, or you decide to wear different clothing because you're going to deal with back sweat or things like that. If you're like Nick Miller from New Girl and you sweat on your back because you're lying, then maybe you need some Sweat Block. Maybe you need to try that out. So stop excessively sweating for up to 7 days per use. They're these wipes you can wipe anywhere. It's made for your armpits, but you can do chest, back, feet, hands, anything. You can use it anywhere. It's doctor recommended, doctor created. A Harvard doctor came up with this and decided to make it. You can get it at sweatblock.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. Again, sweatblock.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get 20% off. You can also find them at Amazon and CVS, but the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off at sweatblock.com. All right, Isaac Harris. Big takeaway was about experimentation, lineups, trying new things. But Kristaps Porzingis went out in the third quarter with lower back tightness. Now, I have to admit, I got some Dennis Smith Jr. like vibes from the back tightness. I got brought back to that when Dennis Smith Jr. wanted to trade from the team, and he said he was out with back tightness, and we were like, okay. And then he was out with an illness, and there's all that kind of stuff. But the Mavericks are playing it safe with Kristaps Porzingis, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be honest in this. KP wasn't playing well at all.
No.
Did the back tightness play into that? Did the Drago, Rocky fight, with his eye scene? Did that play into it? He didn't play well up until him leaving the game.
He had some good defensive plays. He had some good, he altered some shots at the rim. I think he didn't get any blocks recorded to him, but I thought he had a couple of plays that I thought looked really good on defense. He hit the 1-3 off of the Luka Doncic behind the back. Like he just went behind. He didn't go behind the back pass. He went behind the back as like, the practice move you do in like basketball camp. And then he flung it over cross court to Kristaps. He hit the open 3.
Very Pete Maravich.
Yeah. It was great to see KP hit that shot. But yeah, he played 19 and a half minutes. He had 9 points. He was 2 of 10 from the field, missed a whole bunch of just kind of like mid-range jumpers basically. And then he only had 3 rebounds. So yeah, like you said, he wasn't
passing up threes too. Like there was some open
he just didn't look
threes
right at all.
Yeah. And like passing up some of the open threes that went on the catch, and then, dribbling in, trying to get, some jumpers to go. He didn't look right all night. And then, he left the game with back tightness.
So, I mean, get the music out, right? Like if you're a conspiracy theory person and you're like, okay, well, he doesn't look good, and then he is out with back tightness, maybe you can put 2 and 2 together and say, well, they just pulled him out because he just wasn't right that night. Or you can say, if you're in the other camp, the positivity camp, you're like, okay, there's a reason he didn't look right. There's a reason
he didn't play well because of the lower back tightness.
That's what I'm saying. You can look at this one of 2 ways. I'm not sure which one it is because we don't have enough information on it, but maybe that's the reason why he played bad. It was just some weird stuff. There was a play in the third quarter, maybe late in the second, where he had an open, he was like 1 foot in from the free throw line. There was no one around him at all. And instead of taking just a jumper, like a free throw line jumper, he did this weird push shot where in the middle of his form, he decided to push the ball forward instead of actually shoot it. And it was just so strange to me. I looked over at you and I was like, what is he doing? Like, what is happening? So he didn't look right. Like, it's just, there's no way around it.
He didn't look right. But if we're being honest, it took 2 games for Dallas to say, all right, all the screenshots of the paint. That just can't happen again. I don't want to see that anymore. And
the screenshots, when he's talking about that, he means there's two bigs in the paint, and then there's multiple defenders in there, and it just gets all jumbled, and it's too confusing. And so, yeah, they went with one big sometimes in this game.
Yeah, and it's, from the beginning, I think one of the first things I joked to you 2 minutes into the game, I says KP even stepped inside the 3-point line because they were running so much pick and roll with Luka and Dwight. He's out on the perimeter a lot. And so, the first few games, what was happening? He's down, he's posting, Dwight's rolling, there's all this like clogged up paint, everybody's posting the screenshots, and it's like it took them 2 games to be like, all right, let's go back to spreading everybody out again.
Did they post him up at all in this game? Maybe a couple times on the perimeter, but it seemed like all of his shots were like those step forward. He takes a couple steps and takes the pull up 2. I think the one shot he hit was like a pull up 2-point jumper. Where he started from the 3-point line, basically. That he started that move from there, and so he was out on the perimeter a lot in this game.
He had a couple post ups, but I don't know if it was by play design. I think it was just some switches, and because I remember Luka throwing it down to him a few times of, hey, go to work, basically, and it just didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah, so that's what's up with Kristaps Porzingis. After the game, Jason Kidd said it's nothing serious. They're not worried about it. They'll see what it's like tomorrow. So by the time you're listening to this, you may know more than us, but. So that's what's up with Kristaps Porzingis. Luka Doncic in this game, 26 points, 14 rebounds in the game. He was just taking it to everybody, basically. He only shot 10 of 25 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, not great for him. 7 assists, 4 turnovers. He was plus 15 in the game, a team high by far. Tim Hardaway was a plus 12, and then Dorian was plus 9. Everybody else was kind of like just weird because of all the lineup changes and all that kind of stuff. But there were times in this game Luka got a little chippy, and there was times when he wanted to take it to guys. He was taking Christian Wood into the post and trying to finish over him, like Christian Wood was like Patrick Beverley or a small guard or something like that. It was kind of wild some of the times when Luka just got frustrated and then he was trying to take it out on the game.
Yeah, I think Christian Wood pissed him off a little bit.
For sure.
He got a little handsy with Luka up top and around his head and neck one time, and I think you saw that frustration come out when that last time that he kind of ISO'd him out. I joke all the time on Twitter about St. Lucia Island, St. Lucia Island, all that stuff. But and he gets Christian Wood on that island, and he blows past him, gets to the rim, and he turns around, he screams at the crowd, and it's like he had some passion and frustration built up for that.
Yeah, with 4 minutes and 25 seconds left in the game, I noted that Christian Wood drove and then finished through contact. It was like Dorian and Dwight met him at the rim, and there was some contact there, no foul. It was kind of one of those bang, bang. Maybe the Mavericks should have been called for a foul there. Then Luka got the rebound, and then just this crazy, crazy flop by Jae'Sean Tate that just, it was insane that it was called, an offensive foul on Luka. He kind of bumped him a little bit, and then Jae'Sean Tate just did that weird thing where he's like, oh, and then it fell down. It was so exaggerated. Everybody was freaking out about it in the building, and the ref was standing right there, called it a foul. Luka runs over to the other side of the court, basically, and it like mocked him, like did the the shaking fall mocked him, and so he got mad about that. Christian Wood was already mad, and then the next play down the court when the Mavericks were on offense again, Luka was off the ball and Christian Wood was guarding him, and Christian Wood was literally like hugging him and then grabbing him and like was behind him and like kind of touched his face from behind. And it was just all this weird like shenanigans trying to grab him and hold Luka. And then Luka comes down to the other end of the court again and just does this post up finish. And he's screaming. And that was sort of a back and forth we saw at the end of the game.
Yeah. For Houston tonight, besides Eric Gordon, they didn't really have Eric Gordon had 22 off the bench. I was really excited to watch Jalen Green play for the first time. He didn't do a ton. The few moves that he did have when he scored, it looked nasty. He's so quick. Kevin Porter got teed up in this game. It was funny. But I thought Jae'Sean Tate played, he's at least passionate, plays like hard defense. He got in foul trouble. But Şengün, man, I was excited about seeing him for the first time too. And he had a couple moves there. He got past Boban, but this Houston team's weird. They're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah, they got a lot of fun guys, right? It's kind of, I didn't really learn much about this team, I don't think. They have a lot of fun guys that are going to go off on some nights, and some nights it's just going to, and they shot well from 3 in this game, 16 of 39 in this game. And early early they were shooting really good. I think the first quarter when the Mavericks were losing, people were kind of freaking out, and the Rockets were 7 of 13 from 3 at the very beginning of the first quarter, like within 3 minutes of the first quarter. And you're like, or the second quarter, you're like, what is going on? They're just shooting so well from 3. And so they did finish the game well from 3. Eric Gordon was doing his audition for any team to get him. But yeah, that's what this Rockets team is. But for the Mavericks, I mean, the two guys we need to talk about are Brunson and Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock was a huge story in this game, and I became part of the story in some way. We'll hear from Jason Kidd. We'll hear about Jalen Brunson and Reggie Bullock coming up. But before we do, let me quickly tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're delicious. I had one today on the way to the game. I had the grasshopper cookie. I had one left over, and right now you can get the brand new Paranormal Pumpkin, the Pumpkin Puff Bar. It's brand new. I've got one downstairs. I have not tried it yet, I have to admit. But if you want to try that bar, 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and 7 grams of sugar. So just a little sugar in there and a lot of protein. You're going to get a bar that's healthy for you. 100% chocolate, 100% delicious, but it's a protein bar. Tons of protein in it. Go check it out at built.com. You can use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your entire order. You can mix and match. You can try different ones. You can try the puffs. You can try the bars. You can try the bites. You can try anything. So go check it out. They have all kinds of deals all the time on their website. Check it out, built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into this game. So Reggie Bullock, Jalen Brunson, besides Luka, going off and doing Luka things, those were the two guys I think that showed us the most. And Tim Hardaway Jr. had 16 points too, so he had some good moments. But Jalen Brunson, 11 points, 11 assists. He really was playing well and distributing. And I even thought he missed a couple. I pointed out a couple of them to you in real time. He missed a couple of passes too. So there's more in his game he can grow and get to. And I feel like I'm hard on Brunson sometimes, but it just feels like he has another level he can get to, and he would just be incredible. But thought he played well tonight.
No, Kirk Henderson is the one that's hard on.
That's true.
No, we like kidding Kirk when he puts role players in his crosshairs. But no, I really liked how Brunson started the season. I mean, we're 3 games in, and I've liked all 3 games from him. The 11 assists tonight, it's career, tying number for him so far. Yeah. I mean, especially coming off the bench, like that's not an easy thing to do. And I like him at his minutes with Luka. I thought they've, played well together. Yeah, I can't praise him enough for these first 3 games.
Yeah, thought he played well. He has been the guy that he's stepping up to be the secondary creator when Luka's off, or the primary creator, distributor when Luka is off the floor, and even sometimes when Luka is on. It's that confidence. It's what he told us at media day. He sat there and he's like, "I have to be better. We need to be better. I have to be better." And so far, I think he has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reggie Bullock.
Talk about your guy.
Reggie Bullock.
Have you bought a jersey yet? Do you have stock?
I have not bought a jersey. I actually don't have any stock. 16 points for him off the bench. He hit 4 threes. He was 6 of 11 from the field. I thought he played some decent defense at times. The Mavericks needed him because they were playing so many wing players, but he only played 17 minutes. So if everybody's trying to make this, Nick, go on a victory lap. Ask Jason Kidd about it post game, about him playing, and he didn't play anymore. He played 17 minutes in the second game. He played 17 minutes in this game. So it's not like he played more, but he did show his shot finally hit, which is great. It's something that you just want to see from him. And I thought that it was awesome that he was hitting open shots. I think all of his threes were open too. The Mavericks got a ton of open threes in this game, and some of them went down and some of them didn't.
Let's be honest. It was awesome because you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it very much. I had fun. I enjoyed the game. I was watching it. Everybody tweeting at me. There's some
media in the press box.
Tweeting memes at me.
Pointing at Nick, and was like, "Oh my gosh, here you go. This is your guy."
It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Now you're automatically president of Bullock's fan
club.
I know.
I just was curious why he didn't play, and now I've become the Bullock band, like front man, basically.
But honestly though, I mean, him hitting those shots, we've talked about how quick his shot release is, and we've been very open of our opinion is that he should start. And I love when they go small. I love when this team goes small. And yeah, I mean, I like Reggie Bullock. And I mean, when I'm watching the Mavs, I do wonder why Reggie Bullock's not playing more.
He gives them Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber insurance. Remember last season, and especially in the playoffs, when Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith are not hitting open threes, and Kristaps Porzingis to a degree as well, when they're not hitting open threes, it feels like this Mavericks team just rolls to a halt, and you're like, ugh, now it just is all on Luka to try and create. It's on Tim Hardaway Jr. to try and get some pull-up shots here and there. And when you have Reggie Bullock, you have another guy that you can sub in if Maxey and Dorian aren't hitting shots that night. And he's maybe another guy that gives them just another chance to have a guy that might get hot one night and hit a bunch of threes. And he's actually even a little bit more throughout his career has been a little bit more consistent than Dorian and Maxey, where Dorian has sort of ramped up. Reggie Bullock's always just been a really good 3-point shooter. And so he just gives them insurance in that realm. Another 3-and-D guy that's just a little bit more reliable from three. And we finally saw it in this game when he hits them.
Yeah, I mean, and then you see the difference between, his defense, perimeter defense compared to Tim's. And it's like, I mean, this isn't breaking news, but Tim's not the best perimeter defender.
And they're using Tim at the point of attack on defense a lot. And I was kind of surprised. They started him on Jalen Green. I found that really interesting. They
first possession, but then the next possession have Dorian on him, and so I was like, that's kind of
they did a bunch of stuff. But they also started him on Trae Young. So you're like, okay, what is happening?
Because they have to have somebody, right? Like if you're gonna start two bigs, there's KP and Dwight. You're not going to put Luka on the Lillard, Trae Youngs of the world. So then you're asking a Dorian. It's like Dorian and Tim at that point. So when they play Boston, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, guess who's going to have to guard Brown or Tatum? Tim Hardaway. When you're committed to him as a starter and you're rolling, that's why we've talked about the Reggie Bullock stuff. If they went to one big and you're putting Reggie Bullock in there, well, now you have two defenders. Now you can put Tim on somebody else. You can put the whole, you put Luka on the other team's four basically on defense. You roll out, Reggie and Dorian against these guys. But, I think that will come. I think that will eventually be the closing lineup in some of these close games. But, I mean, Jason Kidd went to the drawing board tonight and said, hey, everybody's going to play. And
he went to the fishbowl, I think. He just put a bunch of names in a fishbowl, it felt like, and was just pulling them out of the bowl, it seemed like at times.
But, I mean, they won, and that's what matters the most. And it's like, in a way, I think I respect Kidd in the fact that he is at least asking his players what they think. And I think no matter, I mean, I know all the council jokes are probably going on social media, and it's and those are fun and it's cool. But I think there is something about, whether you agree with it or not, there is something about Jason Kidd, a guy who everybody, we've heard so many stories about where it's his way or no way, he has to have all the control and everything. I think a consistent theme that we've seen is it hasn't just been him making every decision, whether it's Mark and Nico and everybody Dirk chiming in on decisions, and now this 3-player council that's helping, decisions too. It hasn't just been the Jason Kidd show. He's allowed other people to speak into his decision-making. And I think that's something that I respect about that.
He's trying to fix his biggest flaw, or at least what he has admitted that his biggest flaw was. And so, let's hear from Jason Kidd. Let's hear from Jason Kidd about the Leadership Council. I was asked to him, what about this Leadership Council? Tell me about who's on it, all that kind of stuff. That was asked to him after the game.
Yeah, we'll let the council stay the council. It's a communication thing, and talking to those three guys, before they wanted to do it, and so it's a cool thing because we always talk about 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 as part of the team, and they tend not to get to play, but they come to work every day just like the starters or the rotation guys. And I think this just shows what kind of character, what kind of guys we have in that locker room, which is really, really cool. Yeah,
so like we said, he's asking players, what do you think? Do you think Dwight Powell should start? They say yes. And then he's asking players, what do you think about this idea of everybody playing? And we want to make sure that our best players, which we've learned who's on the Leadership Council because Tim McMahon tweeted it out and all that. It's Luka, KP, and Tim Hardaway. So you're like, okay, best players on the team. Are you guys down with this? Is this something you guys want to do? And they said, yeah. And so they approved it.
Yeah. I think it's a cool thing from Luka and them too, that, I mean, if we give them truth serum and say, hey, is your best chance at winning this basketball game playing every single player on the roster? I don't think, I mean, if we're just being honest, they're probably not going to say that if they had truth serum in them. So, but I think they look at it and say, hey, it would be great for a team chemistry if everybody can get in and play. Now, does this mean it's going to happen every 2 weeks? Hey, morale's low. We've won. We've lost a couple. I think this should be an all 15 game.
Let's do that thing again.
And it's like, all right, that was cool the first time, but if they're getting beat by 17 in Sacramento, and all 15 players have played, and they're walking out post game saying, hey, you know what? All 15 players played, and it's like, all right, well, that was fun. But
another clip from Jason Kidd where he was asked about the what did you see in all these lineups that you played? You played a bunch of different guys. What did you see in them? And so this is what Jason Kidd had to say.
Yeah, I thought the third quarter there, and I don't know exactly the time. I know you guys will know better than I. But there was a 3 to 4 minute, maybe closer to 5 minute stretch there to start the third, and we held them scoreless. And that's the thing we've been talking about is, everybody talks about offensive runs, but we're talking about defensive runs of how many can we have in a game and how long can we, maintain those. And that third quarter, I thought our defense was very good. Again, we had some open looks that we normally make, but we shared the ball. I think JB had tied a career high in assists. And so there's a lot of good things. We'd be here all night me talking about them all, but I'll leave that up to you guys. Yeah, I thought.
Like I was like, we'll leave it up to you guys to figure it out and talk it all out. And heck yeah, that's what our job is. That's what we do. We talk about all this. I actually really liked his comment about defensive runs, because I think that is something he's right. We do not focus on that very often, but yeah, and it's one of the reasons why we want Reggie Bullock to play more, is because we think he's a good perimeter defender and they could use that on this team. But I found that comment interesting.
Yeah, and it's something that I think I tweeted about the other day of for the kind of weird clunky offense stuff that he's been criticized for these first few games, that he does deserve some credit for this defense. Like, it's something we've heard that the defense has been preached going into training camp the past handful of seasons, but then we get into the season, we're like, oh, okay, so what was that? That was preached again. And like now it feels like there is a little bit of difference in that. It feels like the defense is a little bit better and over these first few games.
All right, we've come down to it.
Ooh, a new quote.
This is the last quote from Jason Kidd we'll hear from. He was asked which player off the bench, actually the Mavericks bench we should talk about. Mavericks bench actually played well and they scored, which you're like, okay, finally. The Mavericks bench, what did they finish with? This is great podcasting. The Mavericks bench finished with 52 points, and they had been really struggling the first two games. So you finally got something off the bench. You finally got some scoring off the bench. You're excited about that. He was asked which bench player stood out the most, and he had a little fun as answer. But see if you can find anything at the end of this where you're kind of where it piques your interest.
Well, that question will get me in trouble, because if I leave anyone out, then they will feel that I don't like them. So that's just a joke. No, it's. I thought Boban was great, and I'll use Boban because he hadn't played yet. And he's always ready, and I think that's great for our younger players to be able to digest and be able to see, like, to always do your work. This is a job, and you just never know when your name is going to be called, and you have to be ready. And I think he's a perfect example of that tonight for our younger players. So Bobby would be one. I thought Moses, that spurt that he gave us was great. But again, Reggie was great. I know I didn't get him past 17 minutes, but he will get there. Trust me. I know you guys got me on the clock. He will get there. And I'm only making light of it. As you guys get to know me, we're going to have fun.
All right. All right. I try to not make myself the story in this, but I swear Jason Kidd was looking at me on Zoom. I was sitting there in the press box. I pulled my mask down. I laughed at him when he said the 17-minute comment, because it really felt like it was a shot at my comment in a playful way.
I don't think it was a shot. I think it was just
like a shot in a playful way. I thought, where he was just joking, like, hey, I didn't get him past 17 minutes like some people wanted, right? Like, he could have just said my name there, but I thought that was pretty funny at the end. And a little subtweet maybe.
It was a good chuckle. We enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. So there you go. Mavs home opener. Mavs get the win. The takeaway, they tried a bunch of stuff. Now it's like, okay, on Thursday against the Spurs, another home game. Do they do it again?
Try it again. I mean, Spurs just took the Lakers to overtime, so.
What do the Mavs take from this game? Did they trot out the same starting five again? Did they
Good
unlock
morale,
something?
team chemistry. I mean, I think that's one of the big things. I mean, they're going to look at different lineup, combinations, 3-man groups, some guys playing together here and there. Like they'll pull something from it. I'll probably honestly go back and rewatch this game and look at a few things here and there. But even some of the spurts, though, I mean, that players play, like Willie played 5 minutes, Josh Green 3, Trey Burke 3, Moses 3, Frank 3. Like, what are you pulling away from 3 minutes? Like, not a ton, like a little bit here and there, but
apparently it's that Miles Brown should play more minutes.
All right, the Miles Brown thing. Let's just real quick at the 35-minute mark. So Sean Heath, not in the arena tonight. So Chris Arnold, love Chris Arnold,
Chris Arnold.
Like
got you down.
AAC,
you got time to get something to eat.
AAC, like a staple. If you've been going to Mavs games, then you've heard Chris Arnold. Chris Arnold messed up. He filled in for Sean Heath, and he messed up some names here and there sometimes. But Moses Brown came in the game, and he called him Miles Brown over there.
Miles Brown into the game, and you're like, what did he just say?
We're like, whoa, did he just say Miles Brown? And so that's why we said Miles Brown.
Oh my gosh, I found that so funny. Laughed. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun night all around.
Fun night. And let's say this: if you're gonna play around and play 15 guys and just see what works, it's in game 3, right? It's not game 43. So I think if there's a time to do it, maybe preseason, but if you're going to do it in the regular season, it's within the first 5 games. Whenever you have some breathing room, you can play around with it. It's against one of the worst teams in the league. Like, this is the perfect game to do it on.
And I think Bobby Crowley either said it in person or on Numbers on the Board today, his show. If the Mavericks were 0-2, I don't think they do this, right? If the Mavericks came into this game and they had lost that Raptors game, I don't think they do this, because it's a lot different looking at an 0-2 and you're like, okay, well, if we lose this game, then we're 0-3. It's a lot different looking at that than it is, okay, well, now we're 1-2, or we're 1-2 if we lose this game, and it's not that big of a deal. So I thought that was interesting as well. There you go, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Well, I guess maybe we'll watch this game again and try and see what we can pull from it. But we'll talk about the Mavericks again every single day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.